Hi, I'm Rachel Baribeau with TideSportsExtra.com. We're coming to you from the Georgia Dome. As you can see, the confetti has fallen, and the Alabama Crimson Tide have defeated the Florida Gators 32-13. And listen, the tone of this game started way before the first whistle. Started, I believe, with the walkthrough, and even before that, if you go back to the season and the attitude of Nick Saban. But this weekend in walkthroughs, you could hear a pin drop when Alabama came out to walk through. Florida, a little bit more laid back, a little jovial. And it seemed as if that mindset carried over to the game, with Alabama coming out with a dominating performance from beginning to end and keeping Florida really on their heels in a game which should have been about Tim Tebow, the possible Heisman Trophy winner. It was all about Greg McElroy and the resurgence of one Mark Ingram. Throw in Trent Richardson, a pick, stellar play by the special teams, Lee Tiffin, and the rest of the gang, and add in a number of other offensive players, and you've got a victory in the SEC championship game. And this Alabama team is on their way to Pasadena. For TideSportsExtra.com, I'm Rachel Baribeau. Hi, I'm Rachel Baribeau with TideSportsExtra.com. We're here with Brent Musburger. Brent, how are you?
I'm fine, Rachel. Man, dreamland. We could use that a little bit tomorrow before that game, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's beautiful out here. The rest of the country's freezing, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
Everybody's
here.
Cold except us here in Southern California. We'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you about this game. It's the first ever matchup between two undefeated teams in a BCS National Championship game. I heard you say you live in the present. How special is this game to you?
Well, it's, the biggest thing I've done. That's how I look at it, because it's what's next. And so I think it's going to be the best college football game I've ever seen. Rachel, I'll tell you this, having been at practice and having watched both of the teams, some of the best-looking football players that I've been around. If I was an NFL scout and I walked around the Alabama practice and the Texas, I wouldn't know which way to turn. I mean, we are going to see a hellacious football game, especially hard-hitting, I would think, in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and great football players, obviously, but beyond that, great coaches. You look at Coach Mack Brown and Coach Royal at Texas. You look at Bear Bryant and Coach Saban now at Alabama. I'm just interested in your thoughts on these coaches and the shoes that they've had to fill over the years.
Rachel, I've not been around a championship game in which two coaches are so dissimilar as these two.
Yes.
I mean, you deal with Coach Saban, so I don't have to tell you. He's buttoned down 24/7, round the clock, 12 months a year. He is all football. Mm-hmm. And I would describe Mack Brown more in he's the next Bobby Bowden type character.
Grandfather?
Yeah. He'll sit around with his boots up and tell anecdotes, and yet in his own way, he's got things under control. They are just far different. When we talked to Mac this week, we were seated at lunch with the SIDs, and they had a nice buffet out for us. When we talked to Coach Saban, we went into a room. He had a freeze frame from practice up there that he had been studying, and I could tell in Nick's mind, I can't wait for these TV rascals to get out of here so I can get back and start concentrating on my X's and O's. Now, I don't want to be misunderstood on this, because I've known Saban back when he first started at Michigan State. I go back to the days when he was assistant coach that I knew him, and he's a fine man to be around, and he's done a tremendous job at Alabama ahead of schedule. But I'm just struck about how different these two coaches are.
Coach, there's an extended period of time between the SEC championship and the national championship. You're coming to the end of that time. I'm just wondering, how challenging is that for you as a coach to be able to rally the troops, if you will, and how have the players responded?
Well, the players have been, really pretty good about it, and I think they're excited to have the opportunity to play in this game. I think it's everybody's sort of got to change their mindset a little bit, because by this time, after 13 games, you're really kind of used to, this is what you do on Monday, this is what you do on Tuesday, this is what you do on Wednesday, this is what you do on Thursday, then you go play a game.
With Coach Bryant, was there one thing that you took away from him after all these years, and you look back on your time with him? Is there one thing that you learned from him, Coach Moore?
I think everybody that played for Coach Bryant has certain memories and things that sticks with them, and certainly I'm no different. I think of him every day. But coming from a small country school like I came from to a university like this to a program like that to a coach like that was an unbelievable change. And the things that that stick in my mind are the importance of preparation for any undertaking that you're involved in. The better prepared you are, the higher your confidence level. I could see that in myself or in the teams, and certainly after being on the coaching staff and looking back on teams that I played on, when I realized how insecure we were when we came here.
Coach, a lot has been made in the media, and a lot of questions have been thrown out there about the offense's inefficiencies. And I'd like for you to turn that around possibly and tell me what you're praising them for. What do you see that they're doing well in the last game and how they're maturing in practice this week?
Right. Well, I think we've made huge improvement during this time. I think that we worked hard on the passing game, and it shows. I think our players are playing with more confidence now. I think Greg is doing a really good job of getting the ball out of his hand on time. And I think that we've improved in pass protection. We've worked in every area to improve every area so that and what we've done well offensively is we've always been able to run the ball effectively.
I was open and scored the game touchdown.
Does that feel good, though? I know you're a humble guy. I understand that. I see that. I've interviewed you all season. I know you're a humble guy. But when, 30 years from now, when your kids and your grandkids are talking about the fact that you were part of a team, a big reason, Roy, why you guys beat your arch rival and went on to be undefeated and go to the national championship and win.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like I was doing my part. I feel like I was just out playing football.
Does this give the Big 12 a little bit more respect, if you will, at least defensively, if they're able to win this game? Because so much of the focus has been on the SEC, obviously with the national championships in the past couple of years.
Totally. I think that Texas is playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder defensively. I think that they resent the fact that when they play a low-scoring game, it's more of what's wrong with the offense. And when the SEC plays a low-scoring game, it's boy, these SEC defenses are athletic, they're fast.
Right.
I don't have any kind of an agenda at all. I can just tell you as an outsider, Texas and Oklahoma defensively can play in the SEC.
Yeah.
They're athletic, they're big, they're strong, they're fast. They have everything you would want to see at LSU or Auburn or Georgia or Florida or Alabama. So I want to see how, even though they're trained in a way to deal with 5 receiver sets and 4 receiver sets, well, now they're going to have to deal with, again, that big, strong, physical style. So I just think that matchup will go a long way in deciding who wins the game. 2
questions, Coach. You talked about the energy and enthusiasm that they didn't have in the first half, and it seemed like last week you sent a clear message to the media and to the public and also to your team about staying up for a so-called lesser opponent. What do you do, Coach, to impart that on them for the next time, for next week?
Well, I don't think it's about who you play. I think it's about who you are. And it's what I said to them in the locker room after the game. I said, guys, if you're a true competitor and you want to be a great player and you're a true champion and you're ever going to have a chance to win a championship, you got to play to your best level all the time.
Coach, it's fairly known that Coach Houston does well from the underdog role. Couple that with the fact that one of his players was attributed. He came out and said basically they were somewhat relieved to have the monkey off their back after losing a couple of Thursday nights ago. I know you like to play cerebral football. Can you talk about your mentality, knowing that that's your opponent's mentality?
What is cerebral football?
Between the ears, Coach.
Okay. I never got accused of that before. Well, we don't really worry about the other team. The things that we're most concerned about is what our team needs to do, how we need to prepare, how we need to practice, the things we need to do to be able to execute and play winning football when we go play that team.